today you are going to be drawing your simple organic shape, which you will then be putting a modified grid on top of, and you will eventually be adding color. But today we're going to do the shape and the modified grid. So for a simple shape, think a simple silhouette shape, or you could do simple letters like first and last initial. I'm going to do my first and last initial, and I'm going to show you how to set that up, but you have many options for this, and certainly you should look in the lesson. There are examples of all different kinds of things, but I'm going to do my initials, and I want you to notice how big. So I'm starting lightly in pencil, and I'm making these initials really large. Look how big they are on my page, because my shapes will eventually become part of a grid that have to have color in them. And if they don't have enough thickness, then you won't see the color part of the grid, okay? So nice and big. If you're choosing to do a shape, we're thinking silhouette shape. So just like the outline of this shape would be our silhouette shape that we're doing. So I'm going to start first, if I'm doing letters, with just stick letters, and then I'm going to loop around them. So I'm literally tracing like an outline around them to make them nice and thick. And for my letter P, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm also going to trace a shape inside, and that'll allow the P to be really thick. Then I'm going to use my Sharpie, and I'm working on a piece of heavy white tag paper, and you have this in your art kit. It's in the folder, like the Calvert Middle School folder. The white tag is heavy and smooth. If you don't have that, you can do this on a regular piece of white paper or drawing paper. Alright, so I traced, and in a couple places I missed, right? Well, it's not a problem, because I'm going to be erasing all of that before I put my lines on there. So all of like the stick letter and the guidelines, they're not going to be part of my final letters. There can't be any like drawn details inside. And what I mean is, like, I wouldn't do a smiley face or put a drawing in here. They're going to be just this simple letter. So I don't mean that you can't have a shape like that would define where the inside of your letter is. You should have that. But other than that, there won't be any details. You know, it's like if I was drawing, you know, a turtle or something, I wouldn't be drawing on its eyes or the different parts of its shell on its back, you know. Okay, so it would just be a silhouette form. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a piece, I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to get a piece of just flimsy drawing paper that came out of your manila folder. And you'll notice I have my folder actually down on the table so that I don't put any marks onto my table as I go to do this. And I'm going to use my Sharpie and a marker. And I'm going to be drawing first to put 10 lines. So it doesn't matter which way your drawing goes. If your drawing goes, you know, vertically on the page, or whether it goes horizontally on the page, does not matter. Okay, so all we're thinking about is right now I have my paper horizontally, and I have a long side and a long side. From long side to long side, I need to get 10 lines that make it from edge to edge. So if you're right-handed, you're holding with your left hand, and we're going to start on the right side, and you're going to start off the page when you pull the line, pull across, and then pull off the page at the bottom. And what that ensures is that the line reaches the edges, and that you don't stop on an edge, like if you, or you don't try to start on an edge, and if you try to put your marker down here and then pull the line, what happens is you get like this large dot where the marker bleeds there, and you don't want that. So we're going to make sure that we always start off the page and pull on. And each time I move down the directionally away from my beginning lines, I'm slanting the ruler a little bit differently. Now, if you are left-handed, you're going to start here, and you're going to work your way from left to right, because as you draw your lines, you can then see them as you change the slant of the ruler, and the ruler's not blocking them, okay? So as we do this, we do not have to seesaw our lines back and forth, back and forth. In fact, I might do this. So I might, from up here, I'm going to slant out a little bit more this way, so I have 3 that are grouped more tightly there, and then I'm going to change my angle. And I'm not going to angle too wide, like I'm not going to do some angle like this, because I will run out of room. And I need to fit 10 lines. So as I do this, I'm going to change the angle of the ruler each time a little bit. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got to fit 4 more. So I'm going to tighten my angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this will be my 10. So from the long edge of the paper to the long edge of the paper, 10. Okay. Now I'm going to do the long ways ones. For the long ways ones, they are, and I'm turning my whole setup because you always want to be in a pool. Now, this one's a little bit harder because your ruler is just a little bit longer than the paper. So these angles cannot slant as much as the other ones. This direction, short edge of the paper to short edge of the paper, you're going to fit 6 lines. If you need to add an extra one because it isn't broken up enough, you can go up to 7, but usually 6 does it. Each time I'm angling a little bit differently. There's 4. I'm trying not to overslant. I want to make sure I always check that my ruler is on top and bottom. Okay, it is, and there are my 6. And I do think this is a little bit big. I might add 1 more line, that would be my 7th line, to make it fit a little bit tighter and not leave any really big ones. So we've got 10 lines going long edge to long edge and 6 lines going short edge to short edge. Now, there's one other option that you've got in drawing these lines, and that is you may choose to crisscross them. So that would look something like this. So I'm going to pull my first line, and then my next line may crisscross over. Okay, that's totally fine if you choose to do that, but you're still moving down the surface. Maybe some will crisscross and some will not. Always starting off the page and pulling on. So that's another option. Still, you'll only do 10 lines and 6, but if you want them to cross, they may. All right, so now I've practiced and I'm ready to go on to my good drawing. If you practiced and the lines are not nice and straight, you're going to keep practicing. And I think the biggest advice I could give you is spread your fingers apart. So you have fingers up top, thumb down below, and if you need to, stand so you're giving good pressure to the ruler. And again, always start off and off the page, pull on and pull off at the bottom. Now, when I'm doing this, there is one rule you have to follow. So I'm doing the same thing where I'm creating different angles. I've got to create 10 lines. There is one rule that we have to follow. And I'm going to be intersecting through my letters, no problem. The one rule we're going to follow is this. At no point will we let this line go straight on top of another line, meaning that where this black line would ride right on top of this letter through, a good section, it would be the exact same line overlapped. At no point are we going to allow it to do that because it makes it harder to grid. So we can cross over them, not a problem, but we don't want at any point for the line to be riding right on top. We can do this. So right here where this will touch the line and meet up with it, not a problem because it touches and then moves away. That is totally fine. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and then 8. And the nice thing is, with a clear ruler, I can see through and make sure that I'm not lining up perfectly. So there's 10. And then I'm going to turn this way. And I'm going to do my 6 lines this way. Again, before I pull my line, I'm making sure that it's lined up. Lined up, it is. I'm not sitting right on top of any line below. And then I pull my line. So I'm going to get 6 going this way. There's 2. Always looking before I pull, checking top and bottom, holding in the middle. Okay, so there's my 4. And then 5. I'm going to be careful not to ride right on top of that. 5. And my 6th one right here. And that is it. So your shapes need to be large, 10 edge to edge, 6 short edge to short edge. And then if there's any residual pencil, you will erase that and you are done. Submit in Schoology.